understand me, or do you want some whispers? And I do want to do it a little bit personally. I want you all to know who I am. I'm a 9/11 family member. My sister was killed in the World Trade Center. And I joined a group called September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows, which organized right after the terrorist attacks to say, we do not want war with Afghanistan, and we do not want war with Iraq. There were very few of us who opposed the war with Afghanistan. We were a small group of about 35 to 40 people at first. But when George Bush announced that we might go to war in Iraq, our membership swelled. And of course, we all remember that the world rose up in opposition to that war. I traveled to Iraq in January of 2003. The Baghdad airport was jammed with foreigners who were coming there to protest the war. And many of us met members of civil society in Iraq at the time. And I remember the most heartbreaking words I heard were from a school teacher who said to me, you know, right now we're educating our children. And right now, they can find jobs at home. But if there's war here, the young men will start traveling outside of the country in search of employment. And we will have terrorism. You're calling us terrorists. Your nation has labeled Iraq as somehow being responsible for 9/11, which is ridiculous. And your war may bring that to us. So, you know, fast forward a little with Peaceful Tomorrows, my 9/11 family group's experience. At the height of the war in 2007, when indeed there were terrible acts. Martina reminded us of some of the protests and how they led to violence. And I remember the press back in the United States, and you know, many of you here are from Europe, and I would love to hear your experience of how that war was portrayed. And many of you here are from the Middle East, and I would love to share those stories with you as well. But what we started hearing in the States was that Iraqis were either victims or they were terrorists. And we weren't hearing that they were people who needed to claim their own destiny, and that we weren't hearing that they were people who were opposing the government that was being imposed upon them. And I connected with Ismail Dawood, who we've been speaking about a bit because he now is administering the Iraqi Civil Society Solidarity Initiative. But at that point, he was living in Amman, Jordan, and he was working with Iraqi civil society back in Iraq, and working to build a nonviolence network. And I remember Ismail saying to me, and the words are haunting now, hearing Yasmin, I remember him saying, there are three problems, Terry. Your country is occupying Iraq. We have traditions of sectarianism that are not healthy and that we need to deal with. And we have problems of corruption. But those three things are all having horrible, it's a positive, it's a negative feedback loop. They're all increasing one another, you know? And the occupation and the government we imposed enforced sectarianism and made it a source of, or a means to enrich oneself, and that just led to corruption. So we are hearing now the legacy of the Iraqi civil society having to cope with a situation that we basically created. And, you know, I just want to move forward now to you know, just first of all, really thank Yasin for sharing this incredible story of how civil society has endured, and for us to think about what solidarity with Iraqi civil society can mean. I mean, we can't just want to partner with civil society when we're trying to end a war. We have to be responsible for the implications, and we have to also think about the positive benefits of international solidarity for us. You've heard how the Iraqis are struggling for narrowing the gap between rich and poor. core, ensuring that women are fully participatory in government, ensuring that citizens participate in government. That's what democracy is. We have so much to learn from them when we think about the failures in our own states. There are global concerns, and I know Martina is now going to share some of what the ICSSI has been able to achieve working in partnership with Iraqi civil society. But they are fighting for resources, to claim their resources, to ensure that resources are protected and equitably shared. And so I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to say one more thing. September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows really was founded because we believed that 9/11 was a horrible international crime. And it was not an act of war. We believed that nonviolent responses were possible, by which I do not mean that we would sit around and hope the problem would go away if we didn't get violent. We believed in law and the rule of law, and we believed and we had hoped that perpetrators would be arrested and lawfully tried. But today, as we have seen, the wars do exactly what September 11th Families for Peaceful Tomorrows feared, which is that they have increased terrorism in the world. We really do need to be listening to the Iraqis who are living with Daesh and who are experiencing the problems that a violent response to violence produces. And we can hear from them how they are committed to peace building in their communities. They believe in the possibility of going into these communities that have been occupied by Daesh and ensuring that a new generation does not rise up believing in violent responses. So I will just make that a little toss forward to Martina, because the Iraqi Social Forum this year, one of its principal focuses will be peace building in Iraq. But Martina is now going to speak a little bit about ICSSI.